Hi, today JoAnn and I are going to show you how to use your household cleaning products to make beautiful jewelry. So let's get started.
Okay, today we're going to make a beaded bangle and we're going to use silver plated wire. It comes in a roll like this and we cut off 9 inches. It's 14 gauge. So why did we choose 14 gauge, Jamie?
Well, we wanted something that was strong enough that it won't collapse, but we didn't want it to be so thick that you can't get a bead on it. So we felt like 14 gauge was right in between.
So to shape this straight wire, we're going to use the household cleaner. And everybody has some can like this around the house. And we're just going to wrap the wire around it so that it conforms to the shape and becomes round. And then we're going to start adding our beads. If you notice, we've laid out our pattern here, and we're going to start in the middle. But first, we have 22 gauge soft wire, and this is going to be our coiling wire. So we're going to roughly start in the middle, and you always want to start wrapping away from you because that's more ergonomic. Gently. And you want to make sure that your coils are lined up really nicely, tightly right next to each other. Now, let's say I want to stop, and I want to stop before I get too far along, and I want to add some beads. So I'm going to put, these are bead caps, and these are lampwork beads. And the reason we chose lampwork beads, Jamie, is because they have really big holes. And they'll fit on the 14 gauge wire. See how pretty that is? Almost in the middle. Doesn't have to be smack dab in the middle. And what we're going to do now is we're going to bring this coiling wire and we're going to put it over these beads. Jump the beads. And then we're going to start coiling again. Coiling the same way. You grab it kind of far away from you. And if the coils aren't really lined up next to each other, you can just use your thumbnail to push it. And this is a free-form bangle, meaning there are no measurements as to how many times you're going to wrap or anything. You just kind of do it in a Zen-like fashion. Let the beads and the wire speak to you. And you say, okay, it's time to put another bead on. So we're going to put sort of a wrong way. Put it on here.
That's right. We'll be putting all the beads on the thick 14 gauge wire.
Right. And then we're going to again jump the bead and start coiling again.
I like how you're holding the bead in your left hand really tight so that you can get your coils really close up to that bead.
That's right. You want it. And you can always kind of adjust so that, you know, you get them close up. Coil.
How much of a space would you say is between your bead, your lampwork bead, and the next bead?
I'm guessing about a half an inch. Just about a half an inch.
Okay.
Okay. I think it's time to put on another bead. Again, we're going to put the bead cap, our lampwork bead. And these, I love lampwork beads. They're so cool. Don't you like them, Jamie?
Yeah. In fact, that's how I got started into beading. Was I was very attracted to hot glass, and I got a torch and some glass rods, and I started making my own handmade glass beads. And the way that it got the name lampwork was originally when they used to make these beads by hand, they used oil lamps and bellows, and that would do is add oxygen to make the flame even hotter from an oil lamp, mind you. So this was, we're talking like very rustic, and it would take a long time to get the glass hot enough to melt, but that's how they used to do it. Now we use propane and oxygen, but my goodness, so that's where the word lampwork comes from.
I learned something new. I didn't know they did it with lamps. Okay, so we're just coiling, coiling, coiling.
Now, JoAnn,
Yes.
have you ever tried coiling with half hard wire before?
You know, I did make a mistake once, and it's really, 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 it's not going to be as relaxing, because when you use half hard wire, it's really springy, and it's going to be fighting you, because that's what you use when you wire wrap half hard, because you want it to be, what is the word, Jamie? You want it to be stronger, whereas soft is more malleable. So that's why it takes the shape of the 14 gauge base
So,
more easily.
so boo on half hard wire.
Yes, for this project. For this project.
Use soft, or you could even use fine if that's what you have in your stash. We chose soft because we're not going to be doing traditionally hardening of the wire with the mandrel and the cheesing hammer. We wanted to make it easy for people who don't have those tools. So the easy version is not as stable. So by using the soft wire, we're hoping that it is going to provide more stability to the bracelet. Now we are going to show you how to do the same bracelet with the proper tools, but we did want to have one version that you could just do at home with your Lysol can if you wanted to.
Okay, and so now I'm putting on one more lampwork bead, jumping over, and I'm going to coil.
Now,
Now,
JoAnn,
yes.
when you do the jumping over,
Yes.
what happens if your wire's kind of loosey-goosey, like it didn't go across as tight as you like?
I'll show you when I do it on this side, okay?
Okay.
Now, I have a little bit of more wire, and I can coil it some more, but I want to stop and try to concentrate on the other side now.
Okay.
So, let's see, I think that's about it. So then I'm going to put a bead on here. Then, as you notice, I'm kind of looking, because I'm kind of trying to get all of my jumps on the same plane so that you can see them. Okay, you see the jumps are all fairly in the same position. They're all kind of on the top.
Yeah.
That way, you know, when you wear it, you can kind of see it. I think it's kind of a design element.
I like
Okay. Okay, so then we're going to put this bead on, and we're going to jump again. And now what I'm trying to do, again, like Jamie said before, is kind of
So let's say you didn't wrap it as tight as you
right.
intended.
Let's say it's really loose like this, and
Okay.
you don't like it. So what you do is you gently uncoil, and I would like really firmly hold the bead in place, butt it up against the end of the coil, and hold it with your thumb and index finger, and then really wrap it tightly there. Then you've got it.
Okay.
Okay? And just continue wrapping.
The wire that JoAnn is binding with is, again, 22 gauge soft, and we do have thinner wires like 24 and 26, but as I mentioned earlier, this wire is what's keeping this bangle sturdy and strong. So you don't want to compromise by using a thinner wire, especially because we're not pre-hardening the base bangle on the mandrel.
Okay, and look, I'm putting on the last set beads.
So JoAnn, as you're wrapping, I have a thought that maybe what we'll do is we'll wrap up to the last ½ inch, and then we'll stop, turn our loops,
Okay.
and then we'll wrap to the very end.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay. Okay, maybe an inch,
Okay,
because I'm kind of getting low on wire.
okay. Do you think we can pull the whole thing over?
I don't know, let's try, yeah, maybe.
So before we start, what we're noticing is that one side of JoAnn's wire is really short and one side's longer. So we're going to move the entire project over.
But careful, because you
Careful.
don't want it to fall off the
Yes,
wire,
you
and
don't
you'd
want
be
it-
really sad.
Yes.
Okay,
Did it move?
yes it did.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So then what we're going to do is turn a loop.
So you can use your round nose pliers or rosary pliers if you have them. We're going to be turning a medium-sized loop, so you can use somewhere around the middle of your plier. And we're going to be making 2 loops that will intersect in each other. Preferably, I'd like to have the ends flush cut, but if they're not, that's okay.
This
You can
happens
always,
to be flush.
oh good. If not, you can file it, or we can see if it's pokey after they turn into each other. So she's going to roll forward, away from her, to form a loop.
Like that?
Yay. Yes. And then we're going to do another loop on the other side in just a second, and they're going to lock into each other. So what JoAnn just did is she straightened out that loop, making sure that it's centered like a lollipop on the wire. Let me zoom in on that so they can see. So just have your horn down just a little bit. Okay, let me show them. Okay, so that is an eye pin, basically, at the end of her wire. And then if you could do one slowly on the other side for us.
Okay, and since I think I'll have enough wire, yeah,
Yeah.
to cover it.
She's going to wrap to the end.
Ah, boy, talk about perfect.
Totally.
Okay, and is there a particular plane on which you want this loop to be?
Well, the 2 loops are going to wrap into each other like this. So if one loop is this way, then the other will be like this.
So I should do it. I'm
Hope
going
that
to just
recorded.
straighten it out like this.
Okay.
Okay. So I will continue to wrap until about 1/2 inch, right?
Mm-hmm. Because I think the loop takes about 1/2 inch of wire to make. So you don't want to wrap too far, otherwise you won't be able to turn your loop.
Okay. Now I'm going to make the loop again. So around the middle of the rosary.
Mm-hmm. And this loop is going to wrap on a different plane than the other one, because we want them to wrap into
This
each other.
way. So then I'm
Yes.
going to go this way now, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And you'll soon see why when JoAnn connects them, why we wrap them like that. So again, straightening out that loop. Now, John, if you put your hands like this, you can show them that the 2 loops, if they face like this, would not work.
That's right. See, it wouldn't.
That will not connect. It has,
It has
one.
to be like this.
Yes.
Okay, so.
So with the
now
flat
I'm
nose plier or the chain, you're going to open up that loop one side, just like opening a door. So
We're going to close.
close the door once the 2 are intersected.
Okay.
Okay. And then wrap to the end.
Okay, now because it's closed, it's just a little bit more. You now have to put the wire through, so it's just a little bit slower.
To end the wires, JoAnn is going to take the flush cutters and clip the wire.
Making sure that I cover my work.
And then she's going to take the chain nose pliers and tuck those ends in.
Okay, are my ends in, Jamie?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Now, this doesn't look very attractive, does it, Jamie?
Not yet.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to massage it back into the shape that we want it to be. This is cute.
Mm-hmm.
Ta-da!
Try it on.
Okay, now this time we're going to use a bracelet mandrel. And we have these at the Bead Gallery, and these are heavy things. So you have to be careful that it doesn't drop on your foot because you could break a toe. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to shape it around the bracelet mandrel, and we are going to hammer it. And what the hammering is doing is not only is it helping the wire to keep that round shape, but it's also hardening the wire so that it's going to be less malleable, and it's going to really keep its shape better. But the nice thing about this rubber hammer or this plastic hammer is that you can pound it and pound it and pound it, and you will not destroy the shape of the round wire. It will remain round. It's not going to get flat or anything. It's just going to stay the same wire that you started with, just harder. And I think that's enough hammering, Jamie.
Why don't we take it off and give it a couple boingy stretches to show us? You could let it fly. Does it fly back? Yeah. Does it feel good?
Mm-hmm. Just
Now,
get the shape back.
when I had her pull it, it was just to see that if it boings back, then that means that it has some good tension running through it. If it does not boing back, then you may want to hit it a little bit more.
That's good. Okay, see, it's okay. So we're going to put this on the floor so it doesn't hurt anybody. And we're going to start by coiling again. And there we go. See how it held the integrity of the shape better.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Nice and round.
yes.
So that was using 8.5 inches of the 14 gauge wire this time. Ooh, it's tiny. If you have a very small hand, this will be perfect. So what I would say is 8 3/4 inches.
But it is really cute. Don't you think?
Well, JoAnn, I do think it's really cute.
It is.
And I think that what we'll do is we'll probably end up making another sample so that we can report back to you and let you know what gauge wire, what length of wire that will be a good size for your wrist, and you can try these on in the store.
Yes.
So we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
We added a small S-clasp to make this bracelet a little larger, and the S-clasp is intended to be shut permanently and just used for decoration. We put a little charm onto it and it made it fit perfectly.